Now, we have come to Dying Colonialism. Now, this is the book, and the theme of this particular book is collective suffering. Uh, and this collective suffering is basically a concept which addresses the how uh, an idea or how a concept can affect the whole community. Affecting one person may affect the whole community. So the lived experience of one black man or one black woman or a black person, a black individual, was actually a collective experience, a collective lived experience of everyone. The revolution and violence uh, discussed in The Wretched of the Earth, it was depicting and it was showing the revolution going on in the hearts of every person, the way they want to express. So it was because of it was a result of a collective suffering. So this book is actually telling about the whole collective suffering which black community, the colonized black community of Algeria, and generally colonizer colonized people suffer because of the process of colonization. And this collective suffering basically tells about the national consciousness. It addresses the issues of nationalism, and how, because of collective suffering, the colonized, they want to have their own identity of of associated with nationalism, and how it actually generates the consciousness about having one identity through nation state or nationalism. And this book actually elaborates the ways and the facts of colonialism, how colonialism, the ways colonialism is impacting the society, the colonized society, and the facts, what exactly happens in colonialism, and how exactly it starts decaying and it starts moving away, yet leave its impacts and impressions on the colonized society. At the same time, it is also about anti-colonialism. Anti-colonialism, the movement occurring against colonialism, the movement which are not supporting colonialism. So this, when this anti-colonial movement takes place, it reforms the society. The reformation already occurred because of the colonialism, and now again this reformation is occurring because of the anti-colonial movements as well. Definitely there are impressions of colonialism on those anti-colonial movements. Now, reformation of local culture. Now, this is something very important. The culture which was already there, colonialism has restructured that. It has reformed that. That's again, I had been mentioning in my previous lectures as well that it directly affects the subjectivities, the ontologies, the thinking pattern, the feelings, and the ideas, and the psychological construction of a colonized individual. So it's a complete reformation of the local culture, and how this reformation actually happens. This reformation happens by destructuring the indigenous cultures. When colonization implements itself on a colonized culture, it destructures, it destroys the already existing structures, or it reinforces the structures which support colonialism. So in both ways, what is important and what is not important is redefined. And secondly, it reinforces the stereotypes. Stereotypes are images, the reduced images of any society, individual, or race, and these images are reductionist. They only highlight only specific images, so that if any other positive or any other image is being highlighted, that would not be highlighted. That would be ignored, because the stereotype images, the reduced images, which are stereotyped now, they become so prominent and they become so widespread that everybody intends to believe in that. So this complete colonial process and colonialism, it reinforces already existing stereotypes, not only in the minds of the colonizers about the Orient, but also the stereotypes which were existing in the society, and those stereotypes which are favoring the process of colonialism or the colonizer. So it reinforces that. Now, the most important point over here is, whenever we talk about stereotypes, women comes in. So this is what happened in colonialism as well, that women were the focal points of colonial domination. The stereotypes about women, they were reinforced, and then after reinforcing those stereotypes, and those stereotypes were in mind of colonizer, the way they were perceiving the women of a colonized society. For example, the women of they perceive that women of the colonized women, or the women of colonized society, they are oppressed. They don't have they don't have ways to express themselves. So they reinforce those stereotypes, and when the stereotypes are reinforced, particularly the negative ones, there's always an intention to change that. There's always an effort to change that, and as a result of which, new forms of sexualities and gender ideas emerged. The gender ideas that women are meek and oppressed, and men are oppressors, and they always impinge the rights of the opposite gender. It emerged, it surfaced very prominently. And secondly, sexualities, they emerge differently. The desire for whiteness try to help colonized men and women express themselves differently. And not only the sexuality of colonized people were expressed, but also of the colonizer. They also try to see, try to get colonized women unveiled. Why? Because women are the focal point of colonial domination. Affecting women meant affecting the culture, affecting the man of the colonized area. It meant the reaction would be easier from the side of colonized men, and it will be easy to redefine the culture. And now, in this particular book, the exploitation was more cultural, dissatisfaction towards one's culture. And the point is, this culture is actually not the real culture of a colonized person. It was actually a reaction of a colonized person towards the process of colonialism, plus colonialism, colonizer. So this was cultural exploitation, the practices of colonized people, and the ideology of colonized people, and the existing knowledges of the people, that is exploited more. And approach is existentialist. The way the theme is moving in previous books as well, that meaning of a colonized person is defined by the context in which the colonized is living. For example, the process of unveiling. This particular process of unveiling was the context. The stereotypes revolved around, or made around, this process of unveiling. It actually established the context, and this is how Algerian women, the colonized Algerian women and men, they defined their meaning, the meaning of their existence, that whether they're oppressed or they're not oppressed, whether they're supposed to keep themselves, the women, they're supposed to keep themselves veiled, or they have to move towards unveiling. So this is how, and if they're unveiled, how they would behave now, how they would address the other issues related to their identity. So their identity is dependent on the context, the situation, established and divided by colonization and the process of colonialism. So this is what dying colonialism is all about. Thank you so very much to listen to it.